All right, let's talk about something that is pretty much guaranteed to pop up on your AWS certification exam, Amazon Route 53 alias records. We're going to break it all down to make sure you absolutely ace it.
Okay, here's how we're going to do this. First, we'll unpack a really common DNS headache called the Zone Apex problem. Then, we'll look at AWS's really slick solution for it. After that, we'll put alias records head-to-head with standard CNAMEs, uncover their unique superpowers, and then wrap it all up with the key things you need to know for your exam.
First up, let's tackle a problem that trips up so many people when they're just starting out with building on AWS. It's a fundamental limitation of DNS you just have to know.
Have you ever run into this? You've got your shiny new Elastic Load Balancer all set up, and all you want to do is point your main domain, example.com, directly at it. But you can't. So why is that? Well, the answer goes way back to a long-standing rule and how the entire domain name system is designed.
See, that main domain has a special name, the Zone Apex. You might also hear folks call it the root domain or the naked domain. The key thing to get is that this is not just any old subdomain like www or blog. It's the top level of your domain, and it has to play by a very specific set of rules.
And here it is, the big rule. You are just not allowed to create a CNAME record at the Zone Apex. It's a hard no in the standard DNS protocol. A CNAME or canonical name is basically a pointer from one name to another name. But the Zone Apex, well, it has to point directly to an IP address. And that's a huge problem, right? Because things like our load balancers have dynamic IPs that can and do change. So if standard DNS has this major limitation, what are we supposed to do? Well, this is where AWS gets really clever. They built a feature right into Route 53 to get around this exact challenge, giving us the flexibility we need without actually breaking any of those fundamental DNS rules.
And that feature is the alias record. Think of it as AWS's own special extension to DNS. It acts kind of like a CNAME, but it's supercharged with special abilities because it's deeply integrated with the AWS ecosystem. And its #1 superpower? It works at the Zone Apex.
It's so slick, in fact, that developers often call it a clever hack. And honestly, that's the perfect way to think about it. It doesn't break the protocol. Instead, it just has Route 53 do some extra smart work behind the scenes to make it all work. Okay, to really nail this topic for your certification, we have got to put alias records and CNAME records side by side. Let's do a little showdown and look at exactly what sets them apart. This is crucial stuff. I love this analogy because it makes things so clear. A CNAME is like a forwarding address. It tells your browser, hey, the resource you want isn't here. Go look up this other name. So your browser has to make a second trip. But an alias record? That's like a hotel concierge. Your browser asks for something, and Route 53 says, "One moment, please," does all the running around for you and comes back with the IP address directly. And this is what that process looks like. With the CNAME, the client makes 2 requests. It asks, gets told to go somewhere else, and then has to ask again. That adds latency. With an alias record, the client just asks once. Route 53 does that second lookup on the server side and just hands back the final IP address. It's way more efficient. Okay, this table right here is pure gold for your exam. First, the big one, Zone Apex. Alias records can do it, CNAMEs can't. End of story. But then, look at the cost. Queries for alias records that point to other AWS resources are free, as in 0 cost. CNAME queries, on the other hand, are charged like any other standard query. That can really add up.
Now, another critical difference is what they can point to. A CNAME is standard, so it can point to any DNS name anywhere on the internet. An alias record, though, is an AWS-specific thing. It can only point to specific, supported AWS resources. Also, notice the response type. The client never even knows an alias record was involved. To the outside world, it just looks like a standard A or AAA record, a direct IP address. All the magic is hidden.
So, we know they solved the Zone Apex problem, but alias records have some other tricks up their sleeve. Let's talk about their unique superpowers, which are absolutely essential for building robust architectures on AWS.
And look at this list. You can point an alias record to a huge range of AWS services. We're talking CloudFront, all the different Elastic Load Balancers, S3 static websites, Elastic Beanstalk, API Gateway. This deep integration is what makes them so incredibly powerful.
This right here is a massive operational benefit. The IP addresses for your load balancers will change over time as they scale. With an alias record, you never have to worry about it. Route 53 tracks those changes automatically and always provides the correct, up-to-date IP address. It's a true set-it-and-forget-it feature.
Now for what is arguably the most powerful feature of all, especially when you're building resilient, fault-tolerant systems. I'm talking about the ability to integrate directly with AWS health checks.
There's a setting called Evaluate Target Health. When you turn this on for an alias record, Route 53 does something amazing. It actually monitors the health of the resource it's pointing to. So if all the instances behind your load balancer become unhealthy, Route 53 knows, and it will automatically stop sending traffic there, enabling DNS-level failover. That is so powerful. Okay, that was a lot, I know. So let's boil it all down into the absolute must-know points so you can walk into that certification exam feeling completely confident about this topic.
All right, if you only take a few things away from this explainer, make it what's on this next slide. This is what you need to lock in.
Okay, memorize these 4 things. 1. Zone Apex, use an alias record. It's the AWS way. 2. They're free for AWS resources, a huge cost benefit. 3. They resolve as an A record, so they look like a simple, efficient IP lookup to the client. And 4, they enable DNS failover through Evaluate Target Health. If you know those 4 things, you're in great shape.
And that's your deep dive into Route 53 alias records. So a final thought to leave you with is this. Alias records are an incredibly powerful AWS native feature. But what architectural challenges pop up when you need a multi-cloud strategy? How do you deal with the fact that this amazing tool is locked into the AWS ecosystem? That's a real-world problem every solutions architect needs to consider.